Commissioner Badon, and Commissioner Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to thank the registered deeds and staff for being here today and for the work that you do in all of our districts, especially with the deed fraud unit, and assisting my office with matters anytime you reach out to me. The question I had was related to the increase in costs for fees. And I just wanted to understand, I know there were increases that started in January. And what is the highest or the amount that it was increased to for services? What's the percentage of change that
we were the lowest fee for recording a document in the state. Several years ago, I think it was in 2015, the state recorders went to a one fee charge for all recording of documents. That would make it $30 a document to record. We did not do that in Wayne County. We stayed at our $15 and $3 for every page beyond the first page. And what we found was, due to the economy changes, we started to run into a deficit. Therefore, we became a burden onto the county budget. And that is not our duty or responsibility. So after no raises in our recording fees since 1996, we determined that we needed to follow suit and raised our fees, as did the other state county officials, and we began charging $30 for every document, a flat fee of $30.
Okay, and is that per page?
Per document. So if it's one page, it's $30. If it's 100 pages, it's $30.
Great, thank you. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay.
Commissioner Badon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Youngblood, thank you for being here today. And thank you for sharing with us this great news about returning properties to the rightful owners. I'm going to call you from now on the gatekeeper of homeownership in Wayne County. That's what you call it. But on a serious note, Mr. Youngblood, I know we have a website where people can go in and register, especially by seniors, for the deed fraud. Have you been taking a piece of registration? Are you satisfied with the public relation or getting the word out, if you will, to the communities, so people are aware of this element that you have in your department, so people can be protected? Are you satisfied? Do we need to do more, to make the public aware of this feature that you have in your department?
Well, I think until every home ownership and business property is included in that alert process, we need to do more. And I think you as commissioners inviting us to your various town halls is a very good process of increasing that group. And they do go up with every time that we join you in expressing the opportunity to sign up for the property alert at your town hall. So we appreciate your cooperation in that effort. And every time we have media coverage of one of the cases that has settled, we had also another court case in Wayne County under Judge Michael Hathaway. And Martha Scott had one of her constituents' homes that was returned. And Commissioner Peterson Mayberry had 2. And Commissioner McCormick had 3, and Alicia Bell had 21. And these properties are all being returned as well. And that individual got 3 to 20 years in prison. So the word is getting out. Don't steal properties in Wayne County.
Mr. Youngblood, do you find that most of these people who are committing fraud, they have a scheme, they have a system somehow, are they from out of state or are they local?
I can't say that they're from out of state. I think most of the individuals are locally
And they're familiar with the
doing this
neighborhood?
process. Yes, yes. I'm not aware of anybody who is from out of state stealing the home.
Can you elaborate, any cases that you may have seen recently that have been resolved due to family members trying to steal properties from elderly people? So developing amnesia and remember things, and any activity as far as family members stealing properties from their loved ones.
I haven't seen any of that of recent. When we first started the team, I believe we had some of those calls coming in, and we advised that before we're going to open up a formal case and go after the fraudster, we'll give you about a week in order for you to quit claiming the property back to your relatives. And that has in the past resolved the case. We haven't seen any of those in quite some time though.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Peterson Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Youngblood, first, let me just thank you and your department, because every time I've given a town hall, you or someone from your team was present. It's good to hear about the homes being returned. I know every time I talk to a constituent, we're talking about deed fraud protection and putting the alert on their property. I do have a question as it relates to that. So when we talk about the growth of the department, and I see that in this chart, there's activity that's unknown because it's in maybe the prosecutor's office. Are we closing the gap on what you are doing and what the prosecutor is doing and what value that's adding? Because there's some unknowns at the bottom where it talks about investigations without prosecution and search warrants. I know that's in another department, but it is tied when we talk about deed fraud activity.
We are consistently getting about 120 complaints during the year, in the last few years. And we will take that complaint, investigate it with our team at the Register of Deeds office, and validate the complaint as being, yes, a concern. And then we will bundle all the evidence that we have and then pass it on to the prosecutor's office for their review and their decision about what to do with it. And we don't have that information to follow up on what happens to it. That's totally up to the prosecutor to decide their determination if it becomes a case. At our point, it's only a complaint and we validate the complaint. Then it's up to the prosecutor to decide, looking through the review and then doing their own investigation as to how to determine and go forward.
Okay, so there's the communication gap there. And then let me ask you also about your land records analyst positions. So what's the impact of that position not being filled? Like those, I know you said it's hard to find them, hard to fill them and retain people. So I know beyond the GIS, I don't know, urban planning, real estate, but are we connecting with colleges or how are we trying to fill that? And what's the financial impact of not having those positions filled?
Well, it's a more of a time lag for us to get the job done. We used to be able to create a document into our website within 5-6 days. And now we're considerably behind. We're over a month behind because we can't get the proper help. We don't have the right to go out and hire ourselves. We have to go through the county's HR department. They have to post the positions, and then we review to make sure that a person has the capabilities of being on our team and has the skills necessary, and then we can interview and hire them and go from there and train them. But that takes at least 6 months, and right now we're about 14 people behind.
Okay, one final question, Mr. Chair. Your fraud, director, the fraud task force deputy executive is vacant. What's the status on getting that position filled? Because I know fraud activity is pretty high, and the more that we get the word out, people are now knowing. I mean, I've heard residents say that they thought they had to pay for the service, so we're letting them know that they don't to get a deed fraud alert on their property. But what's the status of filling that position, and how is that impacting the work?
We have a very close individual right now that we're negotiating with, and I think that position is going to be filled very close.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner, Scott?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning,
Good morning.
Mr. Youngblood and staff. Thank you all for being here. And thank you for all that you've done for all of us.
Thank you very much. It's our pleasure.
My district was just overwhelmed that you would come out and spend the time that you did with us. So
Happy to do so.
thank you so much.
It's a partnership, and that's what it requires to have a county like this.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So, looking at your, org chart, just was wondering, within your department, do you have a comms person or, a community outreach person, within your department that who regularly, goes out into community and, engage and, spread information? Important information is, the deed fraud and some of the other, functions of your office.
We don't have one specific individual, myself or Harry or my chief deputy or Sandra Buciero, the lead attorney in the deed fraud. We go to all of your commission town hall meetings. We don't have one particular individual that we send around.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions? Okay, Commissioner, Moretti.
I just have a question, if it was appropriate, the questions, Commissioner Meteor Pierce had about the statistics from the prosecutor's office. When we send her questions, comes before us, if we could ask about those, stats, with the fraud cases, if it's appropriate. I'm just asking the staff, so thank you.
Thank you. Okay, yes.
Just one more, to that point too. Mr. Youngblood, I know when I've come over and spent some time in your office, are there enough bodies for the deed fraud activity? I don't know the volume right now, but are there enough bodies in your office as it relates to deed fraud activity and investigations? This process that you mentioned to us that your team does, are there enough bodies to do that work?
Yes, we don't have a number of complaints that have not been reviewed. We process our complaints quite rapidly. So the person that we are about to hire will be helpful, but it hasn't slowed our production down of these complaints.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Commissioner Vega.
Last question. Mr. Youngblood, you shared with us the good news about returning properties to their rightful owners. Is there anything you can share with us in terms of statement or press release that we can include with our newsletter to make the people, the public aware that, there's something going on? Has done this, your department?
Very good, Commissioner. I believe I could forward the draft of my impact statement to both the federal court and our local court system for your publication.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions? Any additional questions? Oh. Thank you, Mr. Youngblood, and I appreciate you for joining today. And I look forward to continuing to work with you in the upcoming year.
My pleasure, and thank you for this opportunity, Commissioners.
Thank you. Next item, Madam. First, I would like to start off by saying, good morning, and, welcome to our budget hearing. And I would like to ask if you would, one, identify, some of the accomplishments of the previous year, this past year, as well as some of the, proposed, initiatives and issues, that will be addressed in the upcoming year.
Good morning. I'm Janelle Allen, Chief Operating Officer with the Wayne County Executive Office, and I'm currently the de facto director for the Indian Defense Services Department, because as you all may know that our first director, Robin Dillard Russell, left just a couple of months ago for another opportunity. While we are recruiting, as I say, I have been serving in this role, but working very closely with our leadership team, all of whom are here with me. And first, I'd like to just mention, I think you all are probably aware that the Indigent Defense Services Department, which we refer to as IDSD, is one of the newest executive departments. It was just created in 2021, and that was in accordance with the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission Act, which requires counties to provide legal representation for defendants, adult defendants, that the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission Act requires counties now to provide legal representation for adults who are charged with felons. Previously, the circuit courts held those responsibilities. And so this department was created to use the Wayne County Defense Service. Under our leadership, we have a very sound and well operating department. Under her leadership, we had to establish brand new systems. We've had to establish, which we'll mention as part of the accomplishments, we had to establish policies and procedures. I think one of Robin's greatest accomplishments was actually the strong leadership team that she built. All of them are here this morning. Each of them will provide very brief remarks about the respective areas that they manage within the department, because it does encompass a large array of services, which I believe a lot of people just aren't aware of. Before that, though, I would like to just comment on two other topics. One is with regard to, we are actively recruiting for a new department director. But I will say that I really enjoyed working very closely with the department. We really do need someone who's dedicated and focused to this department, continuing everything that we have already done in strict compliance with the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission standards, which we must comply with, but also always focusing on continuous improvement and preparing for the future, including the inclusion of juveniles in the Indigent Defense Program under the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission. I'd also like to comment, and I do have to say too, we do not have any interested internal candidates, which is why we are doing an active recruitment. I'd also feel compelled to comment on the current labor issue. that we all know about with regard to Neighborhood Defender Services, which really operates a public defender office for our department, and the UAW, who represents most of their employees, including the attorneys. We view them both as key stakeholders in our program. And we are very encouraged that they are continuing to bargain. We were last informed that their last session was as recent as yesterday. I don't know if they're bargaining today. And we really are urging them to continue to bargain, to reach a resolution as expediently as possible. In the meantime, though, I want to assure this board, this commission, that we are fully committed to singularly focus on our mission. And that is to ensure that all defendants who are charged with felons are receiving quality representation, and that we are continuing to do. With that, I'm going to turn the mic over to Angela Peterson, here to my right. Angela serves as our assigned council administrator. Angela has been with us since almost the inception of the department, and truly has been a right hand and part of my left hand in running the day-to-day operations of the department.
Good morning, Commissioners. I am Angela Peterson. I served as a public defender here in Wayne County for 20 years, both on the private bar roster and with LADA, for those of you that remember LADA. I was grateful for the contract from this commission to work with the planning grant directors under the direction of Marianne Talon and Dawn Van Hoek, one of the first employees of IDSD. And yes, as Janelle says, I am the assigned council administrator, where my responsibilities are largely the administration of legal services for our department. That includes the attorney assignments that happen every day in Third Circuit Court and across all of our district courts, the provision of investigators and expert resources, social workers, which we refer to as our defender support unit, all to provide high quality trial court representations for our citizens. We also have to handle the billing for those services. I administrate our second chair program, as well as 75 juvenile lifer resentencing cases. Our goal, our team's goal, is always to maintain compliance with the MIDC standards, but also to raise up a standard of excellence in the service that we are providing to our citizens. And our work actually affords us that if an individual gets charged with a crime in Wayne County, particularly a felony, it used to be that you would get an overworked, underpaid, unskilled attorney that the clients would call public pretenders. We are now in a position to give them a dream team. And so we're very excited about the work that we're doing. We thank you for your support. And I thank you for the opportunity to be heard this morning.
Thank you.
I'm going to introduce Nicole Gilbert, who is the director of our Defender Support Unit.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Nicole Gilbert. I lead our Defender Support Unit, and I've been with Wayne County for about 3 years now, but have been working within the criminal legal system my entire career. The Defender Support Unit is a holistic defense program that recognizes when people come into the criminal legal system, they have a lot going on in their lives outside of this criminal case. And so our team, which is made up of licensed clinical social workers, are trained to understand that context that brings people into contact with the criminal legal system. And we partner with defense attorneys within our managed assigned counsel system to investigate and document those circumstances, identify their strengths, their challenges, their needs, and help put together plans or reports that help defense attorneys, prosecutors, and the courts really understand who this person is before them. This helps support more informed decision-making, more individualized sentencing and legal outcomes for the people we represent, and really helps improve stability in people's lives. We connect people with various resources related to housing, employment, treatment needs, all of the factors that lead someone to involvement within the system. And so by addressing those things, we're attempting to reduce future system involvement, reducing those costs for our jails and our courts. We're continuing to process the same people through these systems over and over, and essentially creating better outcomes for our community members, our neighbors, our family members, and the people that we interact with every day. I also want to highlight that while social work services are an integral part of public defense systems across the country, it's still a relatively new approach in Michigan. And it's even more uncommon to see these types of services within a managed assigned counsel system. So Wayne County is really leading the way and showing that these types of services can exist within a managed assigned counsel system and can ensure that regardless of who's representing someone, they're receiving high quality representation. So just want to highlight that investing in the Defender Support Unit, continuing to support our work is greatly appreciated. It really is an investment in our communities and community safety and long-term stability for everyone in our community. So thank you.
Good morning. I'm Neil Lighthouser, a program administrator with Defense Services. I've been a county employee for just over 5 years, but before then, the specific program, the Standard 3 program, the Investigator and Expert program, was a pilot project that launched in October 2019, and Angela and I were the part-time lawyers who helped facilitate getting the program off the ground. It worked very well, and with the activation of the Indigent Defense Services Department, we've been able to get the lawyers the resources they need, the investigators and experts, and even just discussion sometimes we can be the sounding board for some of the lawyers when they have strategy questions or whether an expert is necessary, whether an investigator needs to keep pursuing something. What we're doing is our best on a day-to-day basis to respond to the requests that come in. And now it's all streamlined and we're always making improvements with a great IT team to make it an easy process for the lawyer. Really, it can only take a few minutes and they can get their request in, and usually they'll have my response back within hours, either an approval or maybe I need additional information or we want to discuss something. And the system's working really well. On average, we have about 600 approvals that are open at any given time. It's been a little slow with the summer, but sort of as a general thumbnail, we get maybe 4 requests for investigators each day and maybe 2 to 3 expert investigators. So right now we're at about 600. That will increase as the lawyers come back from vacations and get busy working again. But the program is working very well, in my view. The lawyers have what they need. We're able then to make sure we have effective lawyers, which is the mandate for the federal and state constitutions and the MIDC Act that we're all subject to. And most importantly, it provides an equal protection to the disadvantaged who just can't afford to do these things on their own, which for many years, as Angela alluded to, the prior system, the lawyers would have to make a motion in front of the court to request an investigator, request funding for an expert. Now they don't. They come to me and we can make sure that the client gets a fair day in court. That's really what it's all about.
I have a question for
Yes.
you. So, what is the budget for that I guess would be allowed for an attorney to make an request for an investigator or expert?
Well, like just a given case for a
Yes.
specific, depending on, we've classified in our criminal justice system 4 tiers of criminals. So tier 1 would be murders and various homicides. Tier 2 are criminal psych. And depending on,
Can you speak into the mic?
I'm sorry. Depending on, you can tell I don't have, I'm not a singer. Depending on whether it's a tier 4, which would be maybe a concealed weapon case or something, I will pre-approve, just sort of as a benchmark, maybe 8 hours or 10 hours. If they need more, they can text me, call me, email me. I know many of the lawyers for many, many years. I worked out of the Frank Murphy building with the lawyers as a part-time research attorney and just as a practitioner myself. So I have a lot of criminal defense experience. So generally, I'll pre-approve 10 hours. If they need it, if they need more, we can do a supplemental request just as easily as the first one, and even easier because the information is already in our online system. We also handle the billing. So then I can, if there are any questions, I can talk to the expert or the investigator or lawyer, resolve any issues, and we get that done very quickly.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Well, we like to stay busy. Right, but that would be, pursuant to the MIDC, the investigators this year are getting $125 an hour. So I would pre-approve up to $1,250 per case,
Okay.
generally, right? If it's a more serious case where we know there's gonna be many hours or lots of ring doorbells or multiple witnesses, I'll pre-approve 15 hours, maybe 20 hours. Or if it's a juvenile resentencing, a juvenile life or resentencing, it might be 25, 30 hours, maybe more, where they have to go back and get records for the last 30, 40 years.
Yes.
So, does that, and with experts, it varies, depending on the nature of the expertise. We have many, many dozens of different categories of expertise and experts that are registered with the county as vendors. So it might be 1 hour, just a flat fee for a polygraph, but it might be 25 hours for an extended psychological evaluation, testimony, and that sort of.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I'm sorry.
No, just any additional questions?
Okay, any additional questions in this area? Any additional questions? Okay,
Thank you, Commissioner.
thank you. Now, any other presenters?
Yes, so just heard from, so we're saying what encompasses our assigned council administration unit. That is the chart that's shown on slide 3. As you see that we are taking a very holistic approach. It's not just treating a defendant as just someone charged with a crime. It really is looking at them from a holistic approach as a human being, which includes the support of the defender support unit, but also for them to have the most comprehensive representation, including experts and investigators. Now we're going to turn slide 4. You'll hear from our fiscal grant manager, Kim Dorsey, who I may know used to actually work with the Auditor General staff.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Dorsey. I'm the fiscal grant manager. This is probably my 5th year with Indigent Defense. However, this is my 3rd time with the county. I first worked with Edge on a contract, and then I was on Marcy's team for a couple years, and now with Indigent Defense. I always say I keep coming back because I just love the county. I call it the government with the heart because I believe we all treat each other as family, and I find that the staff here really cares about one another. My team of 4 is responsible for all the processing, all the billing that comes in from all the different suppliers, which includes the attorneys, the experts, investigators, the appellate court attorney, as well as any operational expenses that we encounter. We're responsible for the budgeting, the grant reporting, compliance, any audits, internal or external. We manage the supplier enrollment, and we make sure that we have a holistic view of the oversight of all financial matters. I feel that our team, and what I've been told from external stakeholders, is that we are excellent stewards of the grant funds that are so important to the operations of this unit. Our major accomplishments have been to transition from the court paying for all the expenses of the department to our department actually building a system that's been able to handle thousands of invoices a month. We have been able to move from paying these attorneys and the experts investigators those invoices from a paper-based system to an electronic batching system, and that has expedited their disbursements from about 42 days down to 21 days on average, as I checked last night. We, over the years, have really strengthened the financial accountability and oversight and audit readiness of our unit. What we are looking forward to is in the next couple of months, we plan to roll out a JIRA ticketing system to help all of our suppliers to be able to follow their payments and be sure that any questions that they have are met, nothing is falling through the cracks, and that they have their questions and their concerns met quickly and efficiently. I would just want to point out that my team is only 4 people. However, we do have a couple vacancies, but they've been able to really handle the load and be extremely efficient in their positions. Okay, do you have any questions?
Okay, if they'd like to ask, are there any questions? Any questions? Okay, Commissioner, so we're gonna go through questions. Commissioner McCready and then, Commissioner Arvedio.
Good morning. Just for my own knowledge, because I'm a little confused on something. So your department handles, you also handle the contractors that come in. You guys do like 50% of the cases, and then there's contractors and managers that do 50%. Our current contract with Neighborhood Defender Services is that they would handle 50% of the caseload, and that the other 50% is distributed among a panel of attorneys that are monitored by, monitored, I'm sorry, a panel or a roster of attorneys that we qualify. Okay. So you qualify the managers and we have a roster of attorneys that we do manage. They are all independent contractors. They are not, they may be managers in their own practice, but we refer to them more as private bar attorneys. They have their own practices. They come and say, I'd like to accept assignments. We put them in our rotation, and then they receive case assignments that, okay, as long as they are qualified by our department. I thought it was 3 months, right? So are they the ones now that are doing the cases, now the labor, yes, issues? So that's how it's being covered. Yes. Okay. And then my last question was, I know the governor signed the bill about juvenile. You guys automatically get the juvenile. I mean, there's no like other companies wanting that type of thing. It will automatically come to the county. We would be the funding unit and be responsible for developing the processes, the department, the direction that those standards that come from the MIDC for juvenile defense, the same as we did with the adult. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Arvedio, and then Commissioner Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question, Janelle. Any idea on the time frame when you can expect to fill this vacancy of a director or any prospects?
So we are starting our interview process now. We've had the posting up for several weeks. We are really hoping to have someone in early in the new fiscal year and certainly this calendar year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Peterson Mayberry, then Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Thank you. That was a question. And my final question, so the operating expenses that went up, is that pretty much attributed to the expansion of oversight with the juvenile defense? Is that pretty much attributed to that, or is there another project or scope of work that's increasing with operating expenses?
So our operating expenses were increasing primarily because our contract was expanded or has been expanded with NDS. However, that's still under negotiation at this point. And then we also have staffing that's increasing within our department because we're not completely staffed 100% in every category. So that's really mainly where our increases are coming from.
I would like to note that none of the expenses are tied to juveniles coming to the system yet. And we are, I will say that that's something that will be a concern to us, that we do get proper funding for that, because right now all of our funding is really allocated and designated and needed for the adult side.
Okay, and that was going to be my follow-up, so thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And that was partly my question as well as far as funding, because I know the abuse and neglect issues or area is not being funded right now. Am I correct? That portion of that juvenile services?
Well, again, this would be for representation of juveniles in the system. Say none of our funding though is provided for juveniles. I believe what you're referring to is more handled under our juvenile youth services department.
Okay, so there's two separate things.
Correct.
Okay. Community service, I was asked if we used to provide programming where we would have, community service for, those that are in the system. I don't know if that's through your department or directly through the courts, if you have anything to do with that.
Community service as a sanction, if you will, is ordered by the courts, but all probation is overseen by the Michigan Department of Corrections. So they are directing those persons to entities or businesses or places where they can complete their community service, and then those individuals are reporting that back to the court. First, their probation officer, and then back to the court, whose jurisdiction they are.
Thank you. And
We'd
so,
like to know, if I may, to that, we do have an adult community corrections unit in our Health, Human and Veteran Services Department.
and I think that was the department that we actually have a connection with to send out. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes,
Okay.
and that'll be addressed in their budget hearing, but I did want to clarify that we do run an adult community corrections unit.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I would like to also remind you all or ask you all to, I guess, presentation and any other documents that may not have already been provided, to committee to provide that, for the record.
We actually have done so.
Okay.
I know Angela sent it yesterday evening and we brought copies today.
Appreciate that.
Before we do have another team, our last team, which is our
Absolutely.
technology team. And they have actually done some phenomenal work that I'd like them to discuss it, because I would tell you that they have, with regard to the attorney assignment system, that we actually had gone out when the department was first created. We actually hired a contractor to build us a very digitized, state-of-the-art system. And they couldn't get it done. We thought we could do this in-house. We have our own internal staff, some with our central IT department, and then we have designated staff in ISD who has developed an attorney assignment system, attorney billing system. And we actually think might be useful for other comparable, like counties and entities, that we are actually working with Corp Council to get our systems patented, to say that this really might be something that we can have a universal and standardized systems that other counties and other entities can use.
I do remember, for quite some time, in the past, that was a big concern about the payment, the timeline and payment processing for these attorneys. So you're saying that you created recognize.
They have.
So they have, right.
Thanks, Jim. You guys hear me? Okay. Morning. My name is Greg Voss. I'm the Division Director for Enterprise Applications. I work in the Central IT Department. I've been with the county since 2022. I've seen the birth of this department. And to Janelle's point, when in defense services first spun off and started to operate independently in the courts, there was quite a bit of back and forth around the path forward for digitizing operations.
Just, put the mic closer to the mouth.
Yeah, is that better?
Yeah, the air
Very
is
sensitive
blowing,
mic.
so it's another sound.
Yeah. I'll talk a little louder too, because I gotta,
Perfect.
I don't have any problem talking louder. But yeah, so we made a decision early on about the platforms that we were gonna use for digitizing the operations within the department. And it was a little bit of a risky decision. We decided that we were going to internally develop an application to support all the internal operations for the team, versus go out for bid and purchase an over-the-counter product or technology service through a hosting provider. With that being said, I think what the teams have delivered, I manage the application developers. It's been top notch. They are facilitating all of the financials for the indigent defense teams. They're fully integrated with our Oracle Fusion environment for payment processing. they're handling all the case management activities. They're adding on additional functionality so that we're mobile ready and can accommodate attorneys' needs as it relates to SMS messaging and a mobile platform capability. And I'm just really proud to be a part of this team and really proud of the solutions that we put together to fully digitize the operations across the board. There's still work to do. I'd say 70% of where we want to be, but we're definitely on the right road.
Now I want you to meet Natalie Erickson. Natalie is our internal IT manager. Works closely with our central IT. As you can imagine, with all this technology and all of the end users external, you have to have someone in the unit who really is focusing on our external end users. That's what Natalie team does. I'll let Natalie explain further what her team does.
Thank you, Janelle. Oh, yeah, this is, think loud. My name is Natalie Erickson. I've been with Wayne County for almost 8 years. I began in central IT, the technology experience team, and I moved over to indigent defense in 2022. So right when they were really kicking off the technology aspect of the department. It is my team's goals to really make sure that the applications that we're building meet the needs of our end users, and those end users being our internal staff, our assignment coordinators, the people who are approving attorney billing, our DSU advocates, Neil and his investigators, experts. I want to make sure that the technology experience is great for our end users, and we also assist in the development team and my team work very closely together. From the very get-go, we help with requirements gathering, making sure that the apps, before they're even begun to be built, are meeting the requirements of the teams, of the users that are using them, help with process improvement and refinement. And we also host training sessions. We have a very robust service desk so that attorneys, investigators, and experts can submit tickets if they have any tech issues. We often meet with them one-on-one, hold office hours for all of our end users to join if they're having any kind of technical difficulty. And we make sure that all of our documentation and materials are up to date and online. And right now we are working on expanding that service desk as our convention finance team. Many requests between. Right now, we are working very closely with the development team, the finance software. Greg mentioned we are further along, and that will be launching in October.
I would say with that, that does conclude our presentation, but I want to say that you see it's a relatively small department that produces pretty mighty results.
Okay, just a question, that I noticed in the general fund operations, there is a $2 million operating transfer. So where are those funds, coming from?
Is it in 101? Yes.
Yes.
So that's the appellate court funds. That's not really part of the Michigan Indian grant. We process invoices for the court, for the attorneys, for the appellate court. And those funds did sit with the Third Circuit Court. They were part of their budget. However, because they were part of their budget, but we were processing the invoices, there became problems because the max, we call them max. The max attorneys started getting paid more money, so their budget was growing, but the budget wasn't really being managed on that side to grow. So we were having administrative issues paying them. We would run out of money, and then we would have to ask for increases in the budget. And we're just two different entities between the Third Circuit Court and IDSD. So we have managed to move the funds over into our purview so that anytime there's an increase for those attorney fees, or if there's anything that needs to be done on the accounting side, that we don't run into issues because we're in two different offices, two different shops.
That makes sense. Okay, I'm going to recognize Commissioner Marcus E. Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's been hard to hear everything. But, did talk about, the funding for the. I remember that was a. I have really seen you all really pro subject for the job. I appreciate it. But why don't we have the director is.
So Robin Gilbert Russell, who was our inaugural director, she started with us from the beginning. She actually just pursued a different opportunity. And so she just recently left a couple of months ago, so that's where we're recruiting now.
Oh, so you are recruiting.
Oh, we
now.
absolutely, we are
Okay.
actively recruiting,
Are
yes.
you looking within? the
Well,
department?
Of course, we started there, and there are no internal candidates, frankly, that's where we would have gone. But no, we don't have any internal candidates. Everyone has said they really enjoy where they are, and they know their best fit, so that's why we are conducting a very widespread recruitment.
I know Angela has been around from the beginning, so.
Trust me,
Sounds
I've
like
talked
a-
to Angela.
Very good.
She knows. Yes.
Yes, I kind of biased.
I know we
I've
took-
gone down through the
Look,
years.
we're all biased that way, though. We went to Angela first.
No.
So she's been willing, she's been stepping in the interim, and she makes it clear. She's different. She said, she did, she has absolutely stepped up. And that, but Angela, you know how we do know at a point in our career, we're our best fit and where we fulfilled. Angela is really she's a public servant heart and in the criminal defense side. And as we know, this is administrative, but Angela, she knows we've had these conversations. But I do respect her decision. Like I say, she is tremendously helping to run the day-to-day operations now, but she says she really does want to remain in her current role as the assigned council administrator. Of course.
My tribe, as Kim refers to them, are a very rambunctious bunch. And they are best led by someone who knows what they're doing. I am that one. And so that is why I am content to be the assigned council.
Thank you, but thank you all for what you do.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott.
Okay, with that, there being no further questions, my left, which is my right, I want to thank you for your presentation.
Thank you all.
And then thank you again for your great work. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Wayne County Employees Retirement System.
It was big when I first got here. I asked her about it last year.
Can you hear?
Oh,
That's better, okay.
We're going to take a 5-minute reset, 5-minute reset. Thank you, Fred. What's that?
No, we emailed it to them, they said they're 25. I mean, if they're good, yeah, because we had them out. That's okay. They're good. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Just following directions. No.
We take everything out. No change. Okay.
Yeah. I already got it on. No, that would be.
Well, yeah, okay. How are you?
Coming up here. Practically.
They made my cover this year. Talk to them every day. Okay. What's
I got the English.
Oh, great, yes.
I'm sure they will.
Great.
Oh.
I bet.
Yeah, they just, you had something else for. Oh, okay. Some people do ham. Yeah. No, it's great.
They like to chase me.
I'm holding up. Yeah.
I know, I saw, so yeah. That's fascinating. Like, I don't want.
Yeah.
Smell, yes. Oh, you can see. So it's-
You want to know some going I'll take some smart when you see it. You say, I can't help you. I don't know.
Right. That's actually my hand. Oh, that's right.
That's right.
Yeah, there.
Sure. You didn't give me the. You didn't give me Huh?
I don't have the number of this.
Bring the whole way.
Yeah, and, seems like we're in trouble. We didn't want to delay, so I just said. Yeah, I mean, if we can't answer the question, then hope to stay.
We reduced it.
Are they carry outs and things that want to say?
As soon as for a couple minutes, we'll adjourn. No, I was going to share, I was gonna share something.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe good.
Yeah, don't agree with that now.
Okay.
Kind of quiet.
I know, sorry.
Yeah, hard to it.
Is anybody joining us on Zoom?
Yeah.
But Sam,
That's good.
and you doing?
Yeah, how are you?
Few more days, huh?
Yeah. Oh, I wish I could buy the day, but I think South Dollar.
Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, put each other right on her ankle.
We got a. I know, the word of upgrade is kind of push thing. Okay. Okay, we will, now, reconvene, and, sorry. Reconvene, Madam Clerk. Would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Scott.
Right.
Commissioner Baker McCormick. Commissioner Murphy. Vice Chair Baker.
Here.
Chair Kayla.
Present.
Mayor Court present.
Yes, Madam Clerk, order of the day, would you please read the, current item to the record again?
We are under new business item number 1, Wayne County Employee Retirement Systems.
Well, I would like to start off by saying, good morning still, and, welcome, to this hearing. I would like to, ask for you to, in your presentation, to address, some of the highlights of the previous years, as well as, any, challenges that you had to overcome, and to, speak to the upcoming year, some of the initiatives and some of the concerns, that you may, look to address in this next fiscal year.
Great, thank you, and I appreciate the invitation. Chairman, all the commissioners, my name is Robert Curtin. I'm the Executive Director of the Retirement System. To my left is Deputy Director Gerard Briscoe, and today I'm here with two of our trustees, Ron Yee, who's retired and a former director, and Henry Wilson, a trustee on our system. So I thank them for joining me in today's presentation.
So you will, the way we do, you will, do your presentation to us, and then I'll hear from them afterwards.
Very good. Thank you. And again, I appreciate the invitation. I'm excited to talk to you about the progress of the Wayne County Employees Retirement System. If you have in your package, I'm going to highlight a few pages, or I can go over the whole presentation. It's a review of the last decade. I think it's.
So you can go over the high points, and then the commissioners, we're going to entertain questions from the commissioners.
Perfect. I will make it brief and go over the high points. So on page 2, I put a executive summary, a decade of progress. So in 2016, the county pension system was 54% funded. Today we're 73% funded. That's a 19% change. The airport authority was 69. They're 82. That's a 13% change. Unfunded liabilities, 653 million. Today, 346 million. That's a $307 million reduction. That's tremendous. The airport authority, 49 million in 16, 35 million in 15, $14 million reduction. The assets of the county for the pension system in 16 was 782 million. And at September 30th, 934 million. That's a $151 million increase. The airport authority assets, 112 million. Fiscal year 25, 164.8 million. That's a $52.8 million increase. The combined retirees and beneficiaries, 2016, 5,272. Fiscal year 2025, 4,249, 1,023 retiree decrease. Combined pensions paid in 2016 was 136 million. September 30th, 126 million. That's a $10 million difference. Those are the key highlights of the decade. I was going to just highlight a couple pages, and I'd be glad to take questions either way. But if you look at page 8, and I'm not going to go through all the pages, and I'm just going to talk about the county unless somebody wants to talk a little bit more about the airport authority. On page 8, you can see on the county on the left that the blue line represents the defined benefit plans. We went from 1,924 people to 2,234 people. Meanwhile, the defined contribution program has decreased from 1,250 to 900 members. If you look on page 10, the average annual pension added, the county is the yellow line. And from last year, it was 21,000. This year is 26,476. But you can see the 10-year change of the pensions, and you can see that we're still below 2016, and that's just a change of the program of the decreased multiplier. So retirees are earning less in retirement. Next highlighted page I was going to just point out to you is page 15. Pensions paid compared to just Wayne County retirees. So Wayne County retirees are, not including the airport, are 3,912 retirees. Their pension payments are down to $114.6 million. So you can see that red line going down for the number of people in payment status, and you can see the amount in the blue line, which is retirees and beneficiaries. The little highlight on page 18. This is combined retirees. We have 220 over the age of 90. We have 92 between 95 and 99, and over 100, we have 18 people. The next highlighted page I would like to share with you is page 21. Page 21 shows the benefit payments that I just talked about briefly. And The benefit payments on this chart shows the county, the stipend, and the Wayne County Airport Authority. So that's all combined and all combined assets. So you can see that the assets grew from 2002 to 2025. Meanwhile, our pension payments were at a record high in 2016, and they've fallen down all the way down to 127.1 million in 2025. How do we do in investments? If you look at page 22, the blue bar chart is the actual rate of return. Yellow or greenish line is our smoothed four-year average smoothing, which we utilize for computation of the ARC. And then on page 26, I know people have asked me, how close can we get to 100% funded? Page 26 gives me a projection, gives you a projection that if everything continues to run, and you can see our projections are a little bit higher than what the actuals been for the last couple of years. We're looking at 2035 being very close to 100% funded. Again, those are projections, but I feel pretty comfortable with them, but it would make differences if there are increases or changes to the pension plan. Lastly, last two comments I have is if you look on page 29, the county, this year they're going to have to pay us $60 million for ARC. You can see that the normal cost is 9.13, slightly lower than the airport authority. The employees pay 6% compared to the airport employees paying 1.8%. The employer pays only just 2.9% for those benefits, where the airport pays 8% pretty much for the benefits. And then the unfunded liabilities, the county's paying 33%. So that total equals $60 million for $60.6 million for next year. And lastly, a budget presentation wouldn't be complete without the budget. Our 10-year budget shows that we have never spent all the money that we budgeted for. And so this year, our budget is 7.6 million, and we plan on being less than that. I'm open for any questions on the presentation about the system, the retirement system, whatever you'd like to learn more about, or I can answer questions for.
Yeah. Yes, as you know, the commission consistently, since I've been here, has been receiving concerns from the retirees relates to the cuts and the sacrifices they have made. And so a lot of those concerns, I'm sure that you're aware of. And so just wanted to know how are you engaged with the retirees and then how to address some, if not all, of the concerns that have been raised.
Well, I'm lucky here. I have Mr. E, who's president of the retiree subchapter. Mr. Briscoe is active in the subchapter. And so we have a good communication, I think, going back and forth between the subchapter and the retirement system. But the retirement system really has their hands tied. They have no ability to give an extra benefit to our retirees. It's all dependent upon the county and yourself at the county commission. And when we're done, Ron has some comments about the retiree side.
Absolutely. So I wanted to make that clear for the record for those who may be joining by Zoom. A lot of times, folks don't know where some of the lie. And so I will, at this conclusion, I will now ask any of the commissioners have any questions. Any questions? Not. I will now recognize Mr. Yee and as well as Mr. Wilson, if you would like to address the committee as well.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to address the Ways and Means Committee. As Rob said, my name is Ron Yee, and I was the former director of the Wayne County Retirement System, and I'm currently the president of the AFSCME Wayne County Retiree Subchapter 38, which represents Wayne County retirees. I wanted to bring to your attention two issues of retiree concern. One is a healthcare stipend, which we get in lieu of the healthcare the county used to provide to all retirees. And I do have a discussion on that in the package that was passed out to you. But I also wanted to talk about the COLA, cost of living, and that's what I will discuss here. In 2010, amid extreme financial strain, Wayne County enacted sweeping measures to reduce its municipal liabilities. Among the most damaging of these policy changes was amending the retirement ordinance, eliminating the Inflation Equity Fund, our COLA. This had been paid to retirees for some 25 years before it was eliminated. The permanent loss of these adjustments has severely eroded the purchasing power of dedicated former Wayne County employees. Restoring COLA benefits to Wayne County retirees is not merely a matter of administrative fairness, it's an economic necessity to the workforce that built the county's foundation. Fixed pensions without inflation protections are inherently declining assets. A dollar paid to Wayne County retirees in 2010 holds significantly less purchasing power today due to cumulative inflation across essentials like housing, food, and energy. Furthermore, senior citizens face health care and prescription drug costs that consistently rise faster than general consumer indices. When retirees lose their COLA, they are forced to absorb 100% of the market's inflationary pressure on fixed, diminishing budgets. For those who have dedicated decades of service to the county and the general public, the absence of an annual adjustment means that each passing year brings a lower standard of living. Restoring a predictable COLA ensures that a career spent in public service does not culminate in continued diminishment of our purchasing power. When municipal employees enter public service, they often accept lower base salaries than their private sector counterparts in exchange for a stable long-term compensation, including reliable retirement security. The expectation of post-retirement inflation protection was a core component of this implicit contract. While legal disputes centered on whether discretionary funds strictly constituted an accrued financial benefit under the Michigan Constitution, the real-world effect was a clear violation of the worker trust. Critics have often argued that restoring COLA benefits threatens the municipal solvency. However, emergency fiscal measures were intended to navigate acute crisis periods, not to become permanent policy at the expense of vulnerable seniors. Wayne County's fiscal health has improved substantially since the severe budget deficits of the early to mid 2010s. Continuing to balance municipal accounts on the backs of aging retirees, while county operations have stabilized is both inequitable and unjust, especially since the county has had a balanced budget every year since 2015 and has over $400 million in its unassigned general fund balance. Pensions are not hoarded capital. They flow directly back into local communities. Wayne County retirees overwhelmingly remain residents of Michigan and the surrounding metropolitan area, spending their retirement income on basic goods, services, property taxes, and healthcare. Restoring COLA benefits acts as an immediate local economic stimulus, supporting small businesses and neighborhood stability across the region. The 2010 elimination of COLA protections was a reactive fix to a fiscal crisis that has long since shifted, leaving retirees to weather decades of compound inflation on unadjusted pensions, undermines public trust, and punishes those who spent their careers serving Wayne County. By restoring a sustainable cost of living adjustment, Wayne County can honor its past commitments, protect its most vulnerable former workers from economic hardship, and demonstrate a genuine commitment to fairness and equity. Today, we are only requesting that the Commission consider amending the retirement ordinance to create enabling language to allow for a COLA benefit, which could be discussed and or negotiated at a future date with the Commission, the County Executive, and appropriate unions. And I thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today.
Thank you. As I had stated earlier, this is something that, an issue that has been in front of us for quite some time. I'm going to, at this time, refer this, your comments, to our staff for the purpose of drafting, enabling legislation. We will consult with the administration, to find out the status of what their, thoughts are as it relates to this matter, because as you know, we're going into some tough times and want to make sure that we make appropriate, decisions when it comes to this budget, long term. But what we can do at least put the enabling legislation that should the administration and the commission, figure, a pathway to addressing this situation, that at least, the enabling legislation exists. So I want to thank you for your comments, Mr. Lee, and I would like to ask, Mr. Wilson, if you have any additional comments you would like to.
Just to give you all a macro view of the retirement system, for the record, I've been here for 13 years. When I came, we were like 46% funded. The way that we got here today was not solely on the back.
State your name and title for the record.
Henry Wilson, trustee. Henry Wilson, trustee of the Wayne County Employees Retirement System.
Okay.
Since I've been on there, the investments have not been solely on the back of the executive director or the consultant. That has been a collective effort, just like the fellow commissioners. We make the decision of the body as a whole. And coming from the sheriff department being there, I took the mindset of making sure we cut every corner of fees from third-party management and investors to make sure that we keep the money into the system to help get it to where it is today. It's not 80%, but we continue to vigorously fight to cut the fees down to make sure that, like my colleague Ron Yee continues to get his check, and for those of you around the table that will promise a check, that you get your check. So I just wanted to make that known to you all, that around the table over at Wickers, we make sure that we continue to cut costs so the funding level can continue to increase.
Okay, and at this time, I'd like to ask, any commissioners, if you have any questions of the retirement system. Well, if there being no questions, I would like to, thank you as always, for appearing before us, and look forward to, working with you in the, upcoming year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, Madam Clerk.
We are now moving to item B, unfinished business, in a public hearing.
Okay, a motion to open up the public hearing is in order. Been moved by Commissioner Bateman, supported by Commissioner Marecki. Roll call, please. Yeah.
Motion carries. Public hearing is now open.
Okay, I'd like to ask, first of all, for those individuals who is joining us virtually, if you would like to address this committee at this time during this public hearing for the 26-27 budget hearing, if you would please raise your hand, to be recognized, or indicate that you would like to be recognized in the chat. Okay, Madam Clerk, have we received any communications, emails or otherwise?
No communication.
Okay, I'd like to ask, whether or not there's anyone present in the room with us who would like to address the state. That message committee during this hearing, public hearing. Okay, there being none, motion to close this public hearing is in order. So move. It's a move of the room, supported by Commissioner Scott. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed. The public hearing is closed. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item D, a request of permission are recommended to be a comprehensive executive. The 2020. May I have a motion to pass the item?
Minutes and orders, the pass of the day, the moved by Commissioner McCormick, supported by moved by Commissioner McCormick, supported by Commissioner Bailey. All those in favor, by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, this item is passed for the day. I'd like to also state for the record, when we do the public hearing, we do not have to roll call, that's closed, that's for closed session. Thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item F, such as the matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
I know of none. Next item.
Item G,
Okay, at this time, if there's anyone joining us, by Zoom and virtually, if you would like to address the committee, please raise your hand or, indicate that in the chat.
yeah, there's no one on Zoom.
Okay. Anyone in the room who's joining us in person, if you'd like to address this committee, one in person. Public comment is closed. Next item.
Item H, adjournment.
Motion is in order, moved by Bedun, supported by, Mareki. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.